Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're tuning in to AMTV, Alternative Media Television. For a little over 4 years now, I've been delivering the truth to the American people and the truth to the people of the world. And never in the 4 years that I've delivered that message have I been as concerned as I am today. The President of the United States, Barack Hussein Obama, is in a corner. And not only has the United States and the New World Order paradigm engineered this fabricated war in Ukraine, but Obama is now looking to take some kind of military action and to intervene in a country that, again, the United States and this paradigm itself has nefariously interceded and intermingled with as a part of their global economic agenda. This agenda of global integration, this agenda of debt, to bring Ukraine into the United Nations and to the crony, default, and bankrupt bailout system that is known as the World Bank, that is known as the United Nations, and the Eastern Bloc itself. And through that, the United States can control Ukraine and influence Europe through its proxy, through these banks, through this cartel. But all of this is changing. And over the past 4 years, not only have we had tremendous and insane intervention in our financial markets with multi-trillion-dollar bank bailouts, but now we are entering into a phase of geopolitics and of a global landscape that we have never seen before. Not just in recent history, but history in general. And Obama, in his government, is in a corner. The rest of the world perceives the administration and Barack Obama himself as a weak politician. It's not that they don't view the United States as strong militarily, it's that they don't really believe the words coming out of the president's mouth. You know, a perfect case in point was the recent Syria crisis, where the president said that he would intervene militarily if Syria and the government of Bashar al-Assad crossed a red line, which is exactly what the administration, although fabricated and manufactured, said that they did. Now, of course, the West and the United States armed, backed, and funded the al-Qaeda-linked terrorists on the ground in Syria that actually perpetrated and carried out the horrific attack on Syrian civilians with the use and as a byproduct of using chemical warfare on the ground. Now, of course, this isn't just a leftist issue. This is not just a leftist manufactured terror event. This is right and left. People like John McCain, our local senator here in Arizona, and the Democrats just as responsible. All a part of this New World Order agenda. And now the recent intervention in Ukraine, this proxy war being played by the United Nations through the World Bank and through the debt-laden system that makes up modern-day economics today, backed into a corner. Vladimir Putin, rising superpowers, a man that should be respected politically, a former FSB agent himself, who has since risen to power and is looking to control and to build up his power in Europe. His relationship with emerging giants of the East like China, India, and ally Iran, posing a significant threat to U.S. interests. Now, don't get me wrong. I am an American patriot. I love this country. I love it more than anything in the world. My ability to portray my opinion on camera, on air, and to vocalize freedom of speech and my opinion on a daily basis is something that millions of Americans before me died for, so that I could have this right. I have never been more concerned than I am today. You know, it's easy to see how the government plans these types of terror events to make it look like the United States is having to respond to an attack, when in actuality, it's the United States perpetrating these types of events. Whether or not it's in Syria with a chemical attack on innocent civilians and the outright murder of innocents, or it's the invasion of foreign independent sovereign nations on complete pretense lies. Absolute fabrication from the administration, the Bush administration at the time, in Iraq and Afghanistan. Blaming an event, a staged and choreographed false flag event, by the way,
that was and made up September 11, 2001, that according to America's own due diligence, and the administration's both right and left due diligence, had nothing to do with these countries at all. Had nothing to do with two towers and then a third tower mysteriously crumbling dust to dust in front of all of our eyes here in the United States. Helping to propel an economic bubble, by the way. People like Alan Greenspan pumping and dumping on easy credit, which is now the case today, with Ben Bernanke sailing off into the sunset and causing great economic and political calamity here in the States. America and Obama, again, now backed into a corner. And I have never been more concerned. You know, in a video earlier today, I raised a false flag warning, which I believe is at a red-hot, white-hot alert. You know, the equivalent of what the United States puts out when they fear that we might be attacked here on our soil. Well, the United States has run out of options. And if they're playing chess and doing quite a poor job of it, the United States has to fabricate some kind of event here. The Obama administration has to fabricate some kind of event in order to justify military intervention in Ukraine. Without that, the United States really has no action. Now, of course, they can talk economic sanctions, but in a world and with new global superpowers such as Russia and China, India and Iran, garnering even more and more power, these economic sanctions will not work against the rising East. Again, the goal to start trading out of U.S. dollars and in local currencies such as the Chinese yuan or the also known as the Chinese renminbi. This is the ultimate economic goal. Economic powerhouses rising in the East in this battle of psychological warfare with Western propaganda from the mainstream bullshit CNN orchestrated manufactured media and what we're getting out of the East. What we're seeing from news organizations like RT and international news outlets as well as the alternative media, which you're tuning into now. It has never been more dangerous to deliver the truth. It has never been more dangerous than it is right now here in the United States of America. A country that literally has flagrantly meddled with every principle and value that millions of Americans before me have fought and died for. What our founding fathers ultimately feared through centralized power and an Orwellian state-controlled system, which is what exists here today. These leaks clearly showing the truth, leaks by people and what I would consider to be American patriots like Edward Snowden. Controversial figures that have put it into the common knowledge and psyche that you're being wiretapped and victimized on a daily basis by the NSA, by the National Spying Agency, and in the UK through their equivalent, the GCHQ. Again, with Obama backed into a corner, and more rhetoric coming out of the mainstream media positioning falsely Russia as the aggressor should only concern you more that America and the Obama administration need something big. They need something volatile, and they need something violent. Just like the Gulf of Tonkin was a staged act of terror, which is now a historical fact that came out decades after the intervention in Vietnam, which cost tens of thousands of American lives and countless Vietnamese lives, not to mention civilians. We are now living through the same kind of terror today, but bigger and far worse than a minuscule little Vietnam. Not to discount any of those American soldiers or any of those Vietnamese or any of those civilians. But what we have at our fingertips today, folks, is global in scope. This is not a ticky-tack war. This is the big one. This is global in scale. It has everything to do with economics. It has everything to do with the propagandization of your mind. Psychological and economic warfare. Left, right, a false paradigm that doesn't even really exist in actuality. The paradigm that does is a crumbling constitutional republic here in the States, here in America, and freedom in general throughout the world. As this spy grid intensifies, as this rhetoric, this propaganda escalates to the next level, And the United States government, which has a historical track record of failing to disclose the truth to the American people, and launching war and countless war after another based on false pretenses and a phony bullshit track record, is about to do the same thing in Ukraine, and to start the mother of all conflicts with Russia, China, and the rising superpower that is the East. But this time I fear, folks, it will not be the United States that emerges as the victor. It'll be the U.S. and ultimately you, your children, and your freedom that will be sacrificed. And that, folks, is my greatest fear. Maybe I'm the last American to shout at the rooftops, to raise the alarm bells, and to warn you of what's ahead. I'm just one guy. I'm asking you to get the truth out to millions more people, to share the word, and to help others understand the nefarious agenda that makes up the New World Order today, and this control-dominated paradigm of evil, to destabilize the best interests, the sovereignty, and ultimately the freedom of the wonderful republic that has made up the United States of America and the great people that have bled for it over the past 230 plus years. My respect, my salute, hard-hitting and in your face, get this out everywhere, make it viral, peace.